I don't want to toot my own horn, but recently a lot of my wishlist picks have been getting Black Series reveals. So, toot toot. Hello there, welcome back to the channel. I am Grand Moff Tony, and today we are continuing with my wishlist series, moving on to Andor. Now, Andor was a fantastic new flavor of Star Wars. It was adult, it was gritty, it was dark, it was downright heartbreaking at times, and it's really opened up the vein for the new potential Black Series figures we could see come to the line. Obviously, with it being new media, we're going to have a ton of Andor figures coming down the line, a lot of which will probably be troopers or generic-looking rebels, but today I'm bringing you 5 characters from Andor that I need to see come to the Black Series, because if we're going to do a whole bunch of Andor figures, these are the ones that I really want. Obviously, I'm going to be following the same set of rules that I usually follow with these videos. We're not talking about HasLabs, we're not talking about vehicles, we're just talking about mainline releases and deluxe releases. So let's get into some honorable mentions. The first honorable mention I wanted to bring up is I need to see Martha Andor come to the line. This is the character that Cassian gets his name from, so I really need a Black Series figure of her. Recently there was talk of a hologram line coming to the Black Series, which was met by the usual groans and grumbles from the community that you've come to expect. But this is a character that I would love to get a hologram for, because let's face it, one of Martha's best scenes is the hologram scene at the funeral. It is by far some of the best Star Wars I've seen in a long time, and just to be able to stand a holographic Martha on top of B2 Emo, I think it would look absolutely fantastic. Throw some uplighting on there and it would just be perfect. But if I get a regular Martha, even better. She was a great character. I'd love to see a figure of her. For another honorable mention, I'd like to get Ruscott Melshi into the line. Now, this is a character that first popped up in Rogue One, much like Andor himself, but I'd love to get a figure of this guy. It would be fantastic. Whether it comes in the prison getup or whether it comes in just his traditional rebel outfit, I just need a Melshi. I need Melshi in the Black Series. Honorable mentions out of the way, let's get into the picks. Coming in at number 5, we have Cyril Khan. I love this guy. I thought he was such a sleazy, bottom-of-the-run bad guy. He's just a pencil-pushing meanie, and I loved it. You get to see his life fall apart, which is very, very satisfying, and then you get to see him scramble to get any semblance of his former reputation back. But he would be a brilliant figure. You could get him in his Space Police uniform, you could get him in his job uniform, or the outfit that he wears for the rest of the show, and his little disguise from the final episode. I just need to get a Cyril figure in the line so that I can be mean to it the way that his mother's mean to him in the show. I think, realistically, out of all of them, most likely I'd like to see the Space Police outfit. That would be brilliant. The little soldier boy to sort of add to the, not quite Imperials, but the militia-looking soldiers that you get in the Black Series. And since it would be a pretty generic figure anyway, why not throw out one of these new 2-packs and stick his incredibly over-enthusiastic colleague in the box with him? I think that'd be fantastic. I'd pick up a twin pack of those two. They are one of my favourite duos in recent Star Wars. So Cyril Khan comes in at number 5.
I'll never be too aggressive in preserving order.
At number 4, we have Major Partagaz, the spider at the center of the ISB web. This guy, I was so excited for him from the moment I saw him in the trailer. I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones, and Qyburn is one of those later series characters that I really enjoyed. So seeing him finally come to Star Wars was just, it was fantastic for me. Obviously, this would be a pretty simple figure to throw together. I imagine most of it is probably in the line already. Really, we could just reuse the Thrawn body and slap a new head on there and you've got Major Partagaz. So you could really go above and beyond with some cool accessories, some data pads, some ISB junk to include in the box with him, or a really cool little hologram maybe, or a holographic Imperial cog, I don't know. Something to really mix things up a bit, because you get a lot of officers and admirals and whatnot in Black Series that just come with just the character and a gun that they don't even have a whole bolster for. And I feel like with Major Partagaz, we could break that mold. We could do something a little different, like we saw with Admiral Rampart coming with the mouse droid, or Grand Moff Tarkin coming with the interrogator droid. We could bring something really cool into the line to go with Major Partagaz to sort of justify including the character in the line. He may kind of be a removed antagonist, but he is one of the major antagonists of the series. He's running up ISB. You don't get much more up the Imperial chain of command than that. He's a pretty solid threat. Honestly, this just feels like one of those Imperial officer characters that they could really knock out of the park, like really nail that head sculpt, and like I say, include something cool and different in the box as a kind of ISB accessory, and I will be all over it. I kind of pitched this idea with my separatist leaders from my Attack of the Clones list, but maybe we could build up the ISB table with just Major Partagaz and each member of the ISB council coming with a chair and a section of the table that you could just put together and make a really cool diorama set. I know the Black Series doesn't really go in for that kind of thing, and believe me, the last thing the Black Series needs to be thinking about right now is Build-A-Figures. But I think a big collaborative diorama, that's a different kind of thing. I would buy into that. I don't know if I would buy into a Build-A-Figure just because I disagree with them so much, but a diorama that you sort of assemble out of multiple components with different characters that all look cool, I think I could buy into that. Major Partagaz comes in at number 4.
Very good, Dedra. That is verbatim from the ISB mission statement and wrong.
At number 3, we are sticking with ISB with Colonel Wolf Yularen. This is one of those characters that I absolutely loved him in the Clone Wars, and it's one of those ones where I was like, whatever happened to that guy? Let's look into that. Well, after that, you immediately regret finding out what happened to that guy, because he stayed with the Empire, he ran up ISB, and he ended up dying on the Death Star. What a tragic end. But his appearance in Andor came out of nowhere. I did not see it coming, because they made such a big deal about how this isn't going to be like Mando Season 2. We're not going to have a cameo from an animated show every other episode. This is going to be different. So when Colonel Yularen showed up, it blew my mind. And it kind of broke my heart a little bit, because you have this hero of the Clone Wars who just becomes an embittered, dangerous old man who's in command of the Empire's most dangerous intelligence network. Similarly to Major Partagaz, I feel like this figure already exists. You really could just once again reuse that tried and tested Thrawn body and give me a new head, and we could have Colonel Yularen. I feel like it's so simple, and we've had multiple opportunities to bring him in already, because since the Clone Wars he showed up pretty much everywhere. He's in Andor, he's in Rebels, technically he's in A New Hope as well. So really, why don't we have Colonel Yularen already? This is another one of those instances where I just need you to knock that head sculpt out of the park, and I will drop any amount of money on it. I will take that Yularen home, and I will prize him forever. And following along from my idea with Major Partagaz, this could be another component of the ISB boardroom collection, like a little mini beat in the Black Series line where you assemble that table. Maybe you've got like an impressive holographic display or something. Some major component that you could slap in the box with Colonel Yularen, and I will be all over it. Again, not a Build-A-Figure. Build-A-Figure bad. Build a diorama I can get on board with. Colonel Wolf Yularen comes in at number 3.
The only question we need to answer is how tight to close our fist.
At number 2, I would like to see Kino Loy come to the Black Series. I think we're all pretty much in agreement here that the prison arc of Andor was a highlight of the series. I feel like each arc had a great episode, but the prison arc was pretty much great from start to finish, and Kino is a massive part of that. How good is it to get Andy Serkis back into Star Wars? He's such a fantastic actor, and I'm a big fan of Snoke, but it's great to actually have Andy Serkis on screen in one of those rare opportunities where he's not caked in motion capture equipment and turned into a digital character. Now, this could be a figure that could open up a wide range of opportunity for the Black Series, because once you've given us that prisoner uniform, it really just comes down to slapping different heads on it, and you can give us any of the prisoners that appeared in that arc of Andor. But again, I'm really going to drive home this build a diorama idea, because what if each prisoner that we got in the Black Series came with a component of that massive piece of equipment that they were building in the prison. And all together, they come together and assemble this piece. I feel like it could be a really solid way to get lots of these characters into the Black Series in a way that's kind of lucrative to a toy manufacturing company. You know, they like Build-A-Figures. I don't like Build-A-Figures, but Build-A-Diorama, it's a hat trick, I'm saying it again. I can get on board with this idea. And I feel like it would lend itself really well to this kind of character, this kind of figure. Alternatively, this could just be a really great standalone figure. You know, throw a few improvised weapons or blasters that they picked up from the prison guard during that incredible Prison Break episode, and you could have a wide variety of versatility for the figure. And really, what it comes down to, once again, is just nailing that head sculpt. Give me a great head sculpt on a pretty versatile body with some versatile accessories, and you know what? You could pretty much army build it. I know a few people in the community who are really into buying multiples of Trooper figures and then doing head swaps, and they always come out looking great. They always look really diverse. I feel like this would be a great opportunity for the Black Series to do the same thing. I've been saying for a while now, something that we could really do within the line is just an accessories kit that comes with multiple heads. And yeah, you give us a body like the prison uniform and we're gonna put multiple heads on there. But first and foremost, I need that guy in the line. There's only one way out, and that one way out is I need Kino Loy in the Black Series. He comes in at number 2.
We will never have a better chance than this, and I would rather die trying to take them down than giving them what they want.
But the number 1 character from Andor that I need to see come to the Black Series, it's the ultimate bait and switch bad guy. It's Dedra Meero. This was a character that we were all kind of rooting for at the start, seeing her overcome the bureaucracy in the ISB, and then by the time the second arc rolls around, we suddenly realized, wait a minute, this is a bad guy. And she is pretty bad. She does some pretty messed up stuff in this series. But you were rooting for her at the start, and you know you were. Dedra is a fantastic character. She's a fantastic antagonist in the Andor series, and I think she would make a brilliant Black Series figure. Now, we have a female Imperial officer figure coming to the line because we're getting Tala from the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and as much as I would love to get Tala in her Rebel outfit, bringing that female Imperial officer into the line opens up a massive range of opportunity, and it particularly gives us a great opportunity for Dedra. But I also think it would be a good opportunity to bring back a feature that we haven't really seen since the Red Line days. Anybody remember that utterly atrocious original General Hux figure that scared me away from the Black Series for a very long time? He was able to be displayed in 2 variations. You had the trench coat look for Hux, and you had the non-trench coat look. You could take the trench coat off and it would leave the sleeves on the uniform and it would just look like he's just wearing his regular uniform. I think we could bring that back for Dedra. Use a slightly more malleable plastic, because I don't think you could really get away with just having her wear an open trench coat when she wears it crossed over her chest in the show, but you could come up with something that could pull that off. A sort of soft plastic overlay that you could slide onto her arms and just wrap around the front and sort of peg into place, so you could have Dedra in her regular ISB uniform, or you could have Dedra in the trench coat appearance that she has when she arrives on Ferrix. Maybe even throw in a little Imperial hat, just for good measure. Honestly, I think Dedra is such a great addition to the Empire's long list of Imperial baddies. I need to get a Black Series figure of her pretty quick, and we've got that female Imperial officer body coming, so this could be a brilliant use for it. Honestly, I don't need too much in the box, maybe a data pad, but like I said, I would rather have that option to include her in her trench coat rather than having a massive stock of accessories in there that I probably wouldn't use. Or you could include her in my ISB boardroom Build-A-Diorama idea. I don't know. I just need Dedra in the line. Dedra Meero is the number 1 character from Andor that I need to see come to the Black Series.
Raise the alarm one more time, and it won't be me you're speaking to.
So there you have it. Those were 5 characters from Andor that I need to see come to the Black Series. I feel like a bunch of them were just, I need this Imperial officer, I need that Imperial officer. But it's been said before that a lot of the good guy characters in Andor, they're not very figure friendly. They're just people in sort of grungy getup, and they just come with blasters. And that's great for if you want to like diversify your rebel troopers display, but I need to get like proper Star Wars characters into the line. And I feel like out of the good guy, bad guy divide, the bad guys really brought the style in Andor. So those are the ones that I really need to see come to the line. So with all that in mind, let me pass this topic off to you. Do you have any characters from Andor that you would like to see come to the line? Are there any trooper variants you'd like to see? Maybe some background characters that you wouldn't mind seeing, or some aliens that the Black Series could really knock out of the park? I feel like maybe those 2 aliens that were just sort of on a fishing trip when Andor broke out of the prison, I feel like they'd be a brilliant addition to the line. I don't know if we could get those 2 in a twin pack, but yeah, I'd like to see those. That's my cheeky little extra one that I'll throw in on the end there. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Next week's video, we're going to be doing a slight break in topic where we're going to be talking about the Micro Galaxies Squadrons line. It's a vehicle line that I've really fallen in love with despite my best attempts to not start another collection. And join us next time on the Wishlist series where we'll be talking about 5 characters from Obi-Wan Kenobi that I need to see come to the Black Series. But first, I need to rewrite that list because the battle-damaged Vader that was my number 1 pick was revealed at Star Wars Celebration, because of course it was. So I need to pick a new number 1 figure. In the meantime, however, I've been Grand Moff Tony. Those were my top 5 Black Series wishlist picks from Andor. You may subscribe when ready. For another honorable crap, what's that called? Should I just call it Space Police uniform? Screw it, I'm sticking with Space Police.